What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Sifu DLC possibilities, what I would want to see from it. Now, I know, they were working on updates, so that we've already kind of heard, they're going to get like an ultra hard mode, they're going to get an easy mode, stuff like that. Obviously, there's been like bug fixes and stuff, but I guess I'm assuming, and this doesn't have to happen, but I'm assuming that it can get or it will get like actual DLC. Some like really, I know, I guess, the difficulties are pretty substantial, but I'm talking about just something else added to the game. They have hinted at it, but obviously it hasn't been like formally, announced and talked about yet. So we'll see. So it's kind of just like, well, let's just pretend for the sake of fun for this video. But what would I like to see? Well, I mentioned it a little bit in the video talking about them hinting at the DLC, but I want to go more into it now. So I know I talked about something of like a time trial. I actually got kind of pushback on that. There were some people that said, I don't know about a time trial. I did see some people say, though, something like an endless mode. And I think I don't know if I said waves or rounds, right? But I think that's a fantastic idea. I brought up Kana Bridge of Spirits in that video, and I talked about how I really think time trials or something like a wave mode would work really well there because they kind of implemented that in the game itself. I think it would work perfectly in Sifu as well. Give us a hallway, give us a room, a bigger room. You'd have to have kind of like weapons scattered throughout, right? And then that'd be fun, like have different weapons, or have enemies come in and they have different weapons. And then really, the final level of Sifu, if you go through it and you don't kind of like skip through stuff, they really try to introduce, or not even introduce, but just have all of the different enemy types in that final level. That's not even just enemy types, but also enemies that have all of the weapons. You know what I mean? You have like the Joe staff. You have pretty much every enemy that you could, I guess, you face so far. So really, it would almost be like just another fifth, level, but just a more contained thing. And it would be, again, maybe not necessarily a time trial, but maybe just how long can you survive against waves and waves and waves of enemies. And I think that would actually be really, really fun. Not to pull the, like, oh, it's so easy card. And I never want to come across, right, because I can't make games, and I could press buttons, but that's it. So, I'm not saying any of this stuff is easy, right? Obviously, it takes work, but I'd imagine almost like an endless mode kind of thing to be probably the easiest suggestion or the easiest thing that you could implement in the game. I, of course, had said a brand new level, just introduce a 6th level, another, a handful, 1 or 2 mini bosses, 1 final boss, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I think that would be, that would be 1/5, or I guess now would be 1/6 of the game. That would be something that I think you'd have to maybe charge for, right? I think they did talk about DLCs being free, but I could just be getting myself confused there. But that would be I think that would probably be what everybody wants. I know I saw some people say maybe like a prequel thing, right, where you play as the final villain. I won't spoil the game, but maybe you could do something like that, so that you could definitely, that'd be fun. And I think what a lot of people want is new moves, right? A lot of people have said like just do a new martial art style and have the main character do that. You could. I think that would be probably the most difficult just because of like motion capture, and like they are trying to stay really true to the style. I mean, you can tell like that is kind of the lifeblood of the game. So, maybe that would be my only pushback of like, if I were to say, well, something sounds easy in words, but probably isn't easy in terms of implementing, it would probably be that. I know moves are so maybe like they would maybe be considered simple, but I feel like actually adding new moves would probably be the most difficult. You could argue, though, that what I just said, adding a 6th level with new mini bosses and a new final boss, they would have to have new moves too. So I mean, you would still have that kind of difficult thing anyway. So that's fair, I guess, if you want to say that. And the final thing that I think I have said, and I know I've seen other people say too, is skins. Just add different clothing items to your character. I think that works as well. I think that would probably be the, out of everything, out of absolutely, new level, new moves, an endless kind of trial. I just noticed some people say co-op, which would be awesome, but it would just, I think it would, games have to be, I would say, built with that at least in mind. In fact, I even think they said in a thing, somebody asked them if they would do multiplayer DLC, and they said no. So I think they directly, responded to that. But I think out of every possibility that this game could add, I do think something like just simple skins or just looking slightly different would be, the easiest thing to do. So those would be my suggestions, those would be my wants. Honestly, if we get any of them, I think it's fine. I really think just that kind of endless trial would be really, really fun. It would be something that I think fits so well with the game. I think, again, they already have a lot of that built in, because there are some levels where you do, it seems like, right, there's just a lot of enemies on screen, or enemies come into frame. So you have that already. Again, the final level really is enemies of all different types. So you just have to do that, I would say, in a ring, again, with different weapons maybe around. I really think that's probably the not necessarily the easiest, but it's definitely the most, reachable thing, and it'll also be really, really fun. Of course, I would want, a 6th level, something like that. But as I talked about, I really don't know how you'd even do a new level, right? Because then it's not like it would come across as separate, and it is because of DLC, but wouldn't it have to kind of factor into the base game because of the age, right? Because your age carries over. So is the 6th level like in the middle of the game? Would you put it after boss 5? Because if you put it after boss 5, then you got to make sure you're young enough through those first 5 levels to go into level 6. But if you put level 6 maybe 2nd or 3rd in the in the order, well, that obviously then you can be a little bit young, you know what I mean? So there's that to think about too. How exactly would it be? Because, and you also can't have it separate where you start at age 20, because then it's like, well, isn't that kind of too easy, right? It would almost be like level 1. You're starting at age 20. I mean, as long as you don't die like 9 to 10 times in this new DLC level, then you're going to be fine. You'll make it through. There needs to kind of be that challenge, I think, so to kind of implement it in what we already have. You may be going into this new DLC at a level or an age like 35 or 40, and then obviously it's a little bit more difficult, right? So those would be my suggestions. Let me know what yours are in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. If any of this stuff does happen or gets announced for Sifu, I will for sure cover it on the channel. If you guys want to follow me anywhere else, all my social media, including our Patreon and YouTube memberships, the links for them all are in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.